Hello everyone. For today's video, I'm just going to stream myself playing some cash games on Ignition, where I haven't really done cash online for a long time. So this is just going to be playing at the stakes of 25 cent, 50 cent. We bought in for the maximum of 100 big blinds, and yeah, just listening to some chilling Hans Zimmer music as we get into it. That's something I should kind of remember about this compared to compared to MTTs, is that there is going to be a little bit of a rake each time, which means that from the small blind and big blind, especially I'm small blind, going to be doing more of a free bet strategy or fold rather than just kind of calling in a sense. We see this guy's kind of bought in just the 30 big blinds, so that's probably going to be a weaker player we can kind of target more. And also, yeah, with the cash, we can kind of just pick and choose our spots a little bit. Obviously, having the HUD also kind of nice to be able to see how things transpire. Um, yeah, it's kind of a weird spot, but I think I'm going to actually fold. Just I think it's not worth it to pay the rake on this one. Maybe I could call and try outplay post, but yeah, I think fold is fine there. You can be pretty tight when it goes multi-way, and just pick the hands or play well post flop like the 6-5 suited, this sort of thing. I mean, this sort of board is very good for the big blind. Like big blind can just fire here pretty wide. The cutoff just calls. 4-line, yeah, there's a very easy fire for pot in this spot because you have all the flushes, nearly all the flushes, all the 5x. So yeah, just very easy big bet of like 6.2 or more at this point. He goes 5, like yeah, I probably would overbet, but it does get the job done. This guy's gonna have to fold a pretty wide amount of his range here. Yeah, Jack's kind of a nice hand to pick up. It'll be nice with a deeper stack, but okay, we can try to potentially stack some with a hand like this if the board really goes our way, like we hit a set or whatever. But let's see what the others do anyway. Like, when we free bet, we're probably going to go like about 3x the pot, I would say. Because in cash game, you're kind of meant to sort of raise a bit bigger because of the rake, which means that we're tighter range. This guy probably is kind of tilted, so I think that we probably just call. Like, if you re-raise, I think we're only getting jammed by better, so I think it's just a call and we just run it, because he could be, I think, tilted with all kinds of random ace-x, and yeah, he has 9, so he hits a 9, but okay, still at an 8 or a heart, still have some outs, but okay, just unlucky there. What can you do? It was the correct call. Yeah, we had pocket fives. Um, yeah, and at this point, I probably should set to automatically reload maybe, but okay, it is what it is. So, yeah, I think with fives, if this guy like bets big, yeah, we probably would just fold here. But here I'm kind of tempted to ISO because this guy does seem to be a little bit of a fish. But is fives too weak for hand, or do we just kind of call along? I think cash game we're kind of less inclined to call here, so I think that yeah, we are going to actually raise it up in this spot. So yeah, a bit of a rough start. It's still room to recover. I do kind of run really badly in cash online, but it is what it is. This is a board where yeah, when he just kind of calls the bet, he's going to be kind of capped. Like on Ped, I think we go pretty small, like 25% pot. They'll just get fold out like. Actually, this guy probably would call with the ace high, but yeah, it just folds out like the overcards. So it gives us, yeah, pretty nice just to deny the equity on that sort of run out. Because if another king comes, just really yuck. Let's just bet big, like 4 big blinds, because the kinds of like your ace high, like the high cards tend to favor with a lower SPR. So it kind of makes sense to just build up the pot, try to get it heads up. Unfortunately, yeah, it's going 4-way, which is not great. It means we probably just have to check here and, fold if we face some significant aggression. If they bet like 3 big blinds or less, I'm probably continuing, but 5, maybe just a bit too much. Um, yeah, I mean, we need at least like a backdoor flush and like some sort of gutter continue. This is just going to be a fold. We can see, yeah, these guys like just very loose passive, like this guy just betting position. It's a jack and a 9, like we have 2 cards that are like higher than a 9, but not like ace-x. Like that's just very good for the button's range. So it kind of makes sense he's betting 2 streets because he's going to have a lot of strong pairs. And I mean, at this point, like he probably even shouldn't be firing a second time with a jack. It's just going to be 2 pair or better pretty much every time if they're playing correct ranges. Now, granted, it is like a rather low sort of event, so I'm going to do a little bit exploitative, use like a bit of a different sizing, which if I had any respect for the opponents, I wouldn't do. I'd use the same sizing regardless, but when I don't have any respect for these players, yeah, I'm just going to bet smaller with the hands that do play a lot better in the post flop. So, and yeah, this one just a very clear just full. But even though the free bets are probably not bluffing that much, Ace A2 does play pretty well here. Like there is a unit who probably would have a few 4 bets with ace-8 suited if it was like a later position one, but from early position, you're just going to, I think, flat here. Even though it does mean you lose out a bit from the rake, it is what it is. This is just a very clear check fold in with the back door. I think if you have the double back door, maybe continue with 3 or 4 big blind, but half pot just a clear fold. Yeah, pretty rough start to the session, but still some more poker to be played. And so far, I'm not really seeing anything that kind of impresses me. Like these guys, I think, are all very weak and just kind of just hitting very strong hands every time. But they do seem to be very stationary, especially these players 5, 6, and 1 here. Okay, this guy is just going completely bananas. So yeah, when he bets 40 big blinds this spot, I feel like King Jack is going to be a fold. Like we probably can just find better spots there, but yeah, I think it's just pure like at the best you have a flip if you call, and this guy's also tanking quite a bit. So yeah, King Jack, it's close. Like if I had King Queen offsuit, maybe I would call here, or maybe like King Queen suit, I think I would call. Maybe yeah, if it was suited, it's closer, but yeah, offsuit is just a clear fold. I think in this spot, I think we can just mark it in advance. Just wait for a better hand to kind of call down with at this point. But okay, we can sort of write that this guy is basically like a Ramo jammer. Like he's really clearly here just to gamble. We can put that this guy's kind of a station that just fast plays on good boards for button. We can kind of make this observation in the notes here. Yeah, this guy's clearly a station as well, just trying to play as many flops as possible. So yeah, at least we have a good read on the different players, which we can try use later. Both seem to be getting a reasonable run of cards pre-flop. Maybe not so much post-flop, but yeah, ace-8 suited's kind of a trickier one at this point. Because it does feel like this guy's like a complete lunatic, but it's also a case of do we even need to kind of get in this spot in the first place? And my feeling is probably no. I think we can just fold out and, because we're only flipping against like the deuces, freeze, fours, and like the king, queen, king, jack that are bluffing anyway. So I think we just fold and just kind of wait for a better spot to kind of call against him. Like if I had maybe ace 10 suited, yeah, like this hand, if he jams here, I think I'm just going to call because yeah, this guy just seems to be, jamming any 2 cards in a sense. So when he's sort of doing it that wide, like we have a bit more data going, like 43% raise percent, I think that well, I mean, in this case, like, we're kind of priced anyway, so we probably should just jam over the top and, sort of disincentivize, like, the ace-jack, ace-queen from kind of calling, so... Alright, let's run it. I think he's full of crap anyway, so let's see what happens. Yeah, it's ace-8, so that's my point exactly. He does have the back door, though, but yeah, the 10 reduces out a bit. And yeah, we just managed to get back what we lost with jacks versus nines. Too bad that the guy's not there anymore, but okay, at least we got our chips kind of back in a sense from that one. So that part kind of feels good. Okay, so now yeah, we can just kind of chill. We don't have to force the spots. We can just be patient, kind of take our time with it. And yeah, I think when you're sort of easing away into cash games, kind of nice just to start with one table and just make sure that that you're actually profitable at like one table before you sort of add the second, and so on and so forth. Poker's a marathon, not a sprint, right? But anyway, we'll still pay attention to what the others are doing. Like these guys obviously very deep stacked, but we'll see how things transpire from here. Yeah, okay, so have heads up. They shouldn't really do much calling small blind. That should just be a free bet or fold strategy almost predominantly. So that really tells you that this guy probably hasn't studied a lot of charts. This sizing is, I think, not great. I think on this board, you definitely want to be using a big sizing like 66%. This is what happens. Like, they're just going to raise over you a pretty wide range when you use this kind of small sizing. Because you're kind of capping yourself. Like, what's the best you're going to have, like a weak 10x or something? But when you use that size. But yeah, okay, we have Jack 5 suited. If he makes it 2 big blinds, the guy's never raised a hand though, that's the only thing. So when he raises, especially 3 big blinds, it's just so nutted that I'm probably actually going to fold here. Because his range is way stronger if he made it like 2 big blinds, so... Maybe I should call in that spot, but with the rake taken out, I think you can just fold it and not really care too much, really. This guy has kind of come in with, yeah, as a 1 big blind trying to get some action right away. And he checks. I think it's a pretty easy spot to go 2x pot, 5 big blinds with king jack. There's a hand that really plays quite badly multi-way being offsuit, so if we can get it heads up against a likely fish who hasn't even gone for the maximum, that's going to be pretty nice. I think we're just going to bet like 33% with pretty much range at this point. He does fold, and yeah, we just managed to get like 5 big blinds just for free. So that's always pretty nice. And just denying equity as well never hurts. So, I mean, if you had ace high, it probably calls, but so here we have an interesting spot where we could free bet this potentially, but I also don't kind of love the spot. I'd much rather free bet against like a 2 big blind raise and 3 big blinds. I mean, we are in the button, which is kind of nice, but I feel like it's either a free bet or a fold. I mean, we could free bet kind of small and just sort of put the pressure on him, but he has been pretty nitty so far. He did bet quite fast. That does mean he probably doesn't have a nutted hand. Okay, we're going to mix it up and we're going to free bet in this spot. See how he likes them apples. Obviously, yeah, they point out like if he 4-bets, you have an easy fold, but if he calls, you still have decent playability. With the suited king can make second nut flush, and yeah, this is about as good a flop as you can ask for. I think that even though normally you'd bet smaller out of position, when you're in position, I think you can kind of just size up here and you're probably better like 10, like about 6% pot. Kind of feels right in a way here. And yeah, now we can, I think, even just like go really big for value. Like even an overbet is kind of interesting, but I think when we have the nut flush draw, we can kind of just pot it and just jam the river. I think we're just not really going anywhere. Okay, he doesn't pay us off that time, so maybe you could argue maybe we should just go half pot and get paid by a lot more. But I also think a king's never folding, a flush draw is never folding, so I think that, you're happy just to get that fixed value and just potentially stuff the guy when he does have like a top pair that just refuses to fold. But yeah, pretty decent spot for us so far. Let's just, keep the good vibes going. And yeah, at this point, I mean, from the big blind, like I haven't studied cash game charts a lot lately, but I think also in the big blind, you are meant to do a fair bit of free betting to go with your sort of your flatting range, as it were, just taking into account the rake. But that's something, yeah, I would kind of need to study, like, because, decide, yeah, just kind of go into this game, just like, be pretty chilled about it, not try, like, drill, like, too many raises off, too many, like, charts off by heart. But yeah, you can see that this guy, yeah, kind of, like, was value betting with a bottom pair and kind of owned himself when maybe he should have checked that river, but yeah, ace-8 offsuit's kind of close, but I think I am going to value bet it here. Because I think we're going to get called by a lot of worse ace-x. This guy's a bit of a station, so yeah, we get it through. Can't really complain about that. And also, nice thing about taking it free is also that when you do take it free, you're not having to pay any rake, so it just doesn't take away from your profits like that. But I think these guys aren't going to figure out the different bet sizing, so anything we get pretty out of line, and yeah, we're just taking their blinds. Never hurts to take the blinds, as it were. So, yeah, we've got ace three off. I think when he bets, kind of want to ISO with the ace x, because one of these hands where it's sort of yucky if you just check, but if you bet like 2x pot, you have a good chance to take the pot down. And he's still going to probably kill all the suited broadways or offsuit broadways because he's just defending a bit too wide. But yeah, when you take it down, that's obviously quite nice as well. So yeah, we're getting a good run of cards, getting a good flow. I think I'm just going to keep just 2x potting this guy all the time. Yeah, when this guy raises, though, I'm probably just going to fold, actually. Because his ISO range is meant to be very strong. Like, no hands are really beating are like, some, like, suited broadways, some weaker ace-x, like ace-5 suited. But yeah, it's just, even when this flop comes, like, you're just running into a better ace quite a decent chunk of the time. And yeah, he's even meant to check back some weaker ace in that spot from button, but yeah, he decided to go for a delayed c-bet, which does get through. So yeah, let's keep going a little bit more. Not sure how long I'm going to play this session for necessarily. This one's a clear fold, of course. But, I'll keep talking through and just see how it kind of goes. Because, yeah, it sounds like with some of the videos in the past, I've just kind of done it, not like in real time, but just, sort of taking a torm and kind of talking through it afterwards. But I think it can be nice, yeah, to sort of have some practice actually saying your thoughts in real time, just kind of like checking with yourself that what you're saying actually makes sense in a way. If Jack 8 was suited, I probably would play it there, but offsuit just not going to be good enough. You're going to kind of need a 2 cards 9 or higher before you're really going to think about playing there. Certainly in MTT, but I'd say even in cash as well, all the more so. So, yeah, this guy ends up limping. Like, when they're limping, you can tell it's a pretty soft game, which, okay, at 25 cent, 50 cent, kind of what you would expect, but it is funny because these sort of stakes online are meant to be tougher than like 1-2 live, but from what I'm seeing so far, it doesn't feel like they're any tougher in all honesty. Like, if anything, almost feels softer actually, because you can, play more tables, build more profit. We just take it slowly and kind of go from there. Yeah, so we're hijack, easy fold. I mean, yeah, we've sort of had a good run of some good cards before, so yeah, there's probably be a phase are mostly just, folding and just, just waiting for spots. But that's really the key to cash games, yeah, is basically just being patient. That, if you're kind of patient, don't sort of do anything reckless, that's really like half the battle in these cases. And obviously, a multi-tabling, you kind of don't have to wait as long to get good hands, so yeah, that kind of helps as well in a way. But yeah, pretty decent spot. I mean, in the past, like I would have just said, okay, let's just book the win and just leave. But here I'm kind of like working through, like trying not to just book the wins, but actually get a little bit more volume in, just because I think that's kind of good practice and just going to be a lot better. Because I think one of my biggest leaks was kind of focusing too much on the short term in these, like in my sessions, like, oh, I got a good start, let's just, bank the win. But when you sort of look at poker as being like it's a very long term session, I think it sort of helps you break out this kind of unsupported thinking. Monotone flop, you can just bet one big blind with a decent chunk, but he does decide to check, which you will do a fair bit at a time. Like if you don't have a diamond, I think those kind of cards will do a lot of checking here, even with some pair in them. Yeah, this is also very good for the big blinds range. Like they're gonna have a lot of suited hands. But yeah, you can sort of see this guy like is basically just sort of not sort of not like finding the kind of the bluffs post flop. He's just very stationary, very loose passive. So we can kind of make a note of that for future reference. Yeah, this guy seems to like the three big blind raise sizing, so we'll make a mental note of that, or a written note of that. Yeah, this guy decides to just call, got another monotone flop, and you can bet one big blind with a pretty decent chunk of your range here, like good 7x or better, a lot of the weaker overcards with a diamond in them. I mean, you probably want to also have like some ace of diamonds in your checking range, just so your checking range can have some nut flushes when the turn diamond comes in, because that's going to show your range is not capped with your checking range. Yeah, King 10 suited, quite a nice playable hand here. We are going to raise it up. Let's just go for a. I'm just kind of using the MTT size of 2.5. Like maybe I should make it bigger because of the rake, but yeah, it's sort of a case if they're also folding you way too tight, you can just sort of go smaller and just not risk as much. Obviously, weaker aces are just going to be a clear fold here. Like even from the button, actually, in a cash game, I think ace three off is still meant to be a fold. That's kind of like ace five plus, I think, from memory. It's ace four or ace five offsuit. It kind of depends. But okay, probably against these plays, not going to make the biggest difference in the world. He decides to call very quickly, so he's capped. You can just bet pretty big, but he decides to check with showdown value. This guy bets pot with God knows what. Okay, so he had 9-10, and this guy had, yeah, the straight. So maybe a little bit of a cooler situation, but kind of interesting that he sort of, yeah, checked. Hang on, yeah, he was in position. So yeah, the other guy like let out, and then this guy called with the trips. So yeah, I think that was how it played out. Kind of, yeah, lost track of it a bit, but yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, look, it's there. We're actually now kind of the biggest stack, which is a nice spot to be in when you can sort of apply like that bit of pressure on people's stacks. It's kind of a nice aspect. I mean, to be fair, it's not as big an advantage as, let's say, as like, being a short saying being able to just jam over races, but yeah, it's still kind of nice in that respect. So yeah, as it happens, yeah, we have King 6 off. Yeah, I mean, the guy is limping. If someone ISOs, we just fold, but otherwise we'll just check it down. So we'll see what this guy comes up with anyway. Thought he was thinking of raising when they tank, but okay, we check. This is a pretty bad flop for our range. But okay, this spot where I think we just check down and just kind of take our showdown value, because yeah, this guy is also way under bluffing. So I think if we bet, we're probably getting called by better. So let's just check and hope that we're good here. And if he bets, I mean, yeah. But this guy is like just almost never bluffing, I think, from what I've seen. So we do have just checking it, just sort of taking the pot there, which is quite nice in a way. Like just a no risk way of playing it. So you have the 7-6 suited, which I think you are meant to free bet some of the time. But when this guy limps, I also kind of like that idea of potentially just flatting as well. Um, yeah, I think this one where I'm happy to just flat it. I think the hand plays fine multi-way with a 6-7. With the open ender, backdoor flush draw, this is quite nice, especially having like the nut open ender. So I think, yeah, when the jack pairs, the thing is that when they really fire a jack, they bet quite fast. So I think that our hand is kind of like not so good as good when the board pairs. I think we can just fire here. And yeah, we have no showdown value, so I think we can go fairly big. I think if we just pot it, we're not really blocking too much. So I think we just probably just try to get a garbage pair to fold, and if he calls, he calls. But it does get through there. So that was kind of a nice little run out. Because like 7-6 is like literal bottom of range in that spot for us. Yeah, offsuit's just a clear fold, of course. You need it to be suited to play there. So anyway, this one the guy just took it down small blind, so that's fair. We're in the cutoff. It's also I think when you're playing like 6-hand, you just kind of get more action. Queen 8 just not good enough here. You need it to be suited to play that spot. But the guy makes 3 big blinds. We'll see how they respond to it. Yeah, and you shouldn't be flatting. It's almost always a free bet there. So this guy, he should be betting, I think, a decent chunk of his range, but he checks. Yeah, I think like it is a small, like a mid-size, probably good on the lower card boards. Because when you have low card boards and the button against small blind or big blind, then you're often going to use like bigger size, like 6% pot. But okay, the guy turned top pair and got paid, I think, 2 streets from memory. So that works out. King Deuce Suit probably not quite good enough in a cash game. In an MTT, could probably like play like King 3 suit, King 4 suit from hijack, but otherwise, it's not so great. This guy makes it 3 bigs. This guy calls. Again, kind of, I need to actually study the big blind versus small versus big blind, but I feel like again with the rake that like from the big blind you're probably going to be doing more free betting than in a MTT is kind of my feeling. So I was thinking how you can sort of sit out and not pay the blinds. That's kind of a nice feature, but I think Ace Deuce is actually meant to fold here, especially multi-way plays very bad multi-way. So I think it's a pretty clear fold with a garbage ace in that spot. Okay, this guy jams for whatever reason. Very random board to jam on, like could have flush draws, some 8-7, or like just some strong 9, but who knows. Jack 9 suited. Trying to remember whether it's a hand that you mainly flat or mainly raise when you're in the big blind. Okay, when he raised, we just fold anyway. So that's that one. Yeah, not sure how many more hands will play. Just kind of see how I feel and like how my voice holds up. Also, maybe what I can do is maybe I'll just play for like half an hour, just a nice like shortish session. Obviously, Ace Deuce off a clear fold on the button in a cash game. I mean, against these guys, you can probably get away with raising it, but I'm just going to play like sensible ranges and kind of take it from there. Like A6 offsuit, kind of close if they don't raise, but when they raise, it's a very clear fold, just dominated by so much of their raising range in that case. So it's okay. We're just doing a lot of folding. Let's see how it continues. Another clear fold here. But even when you're not in the hand, like you're still obviously observing and seeing what the villain's tendencies are. Like are they finding the right frequency of free bets? Are they raising a bit too wide? This sort of thing. Like especially looking at what hands they're showing down with. This one again a pretty clear fold against any kind of raise at this point. Yeah, very clear fold. In the small blind. Yeah, I feel like Jack 7, like I think if I had a hand like Queen 6 or like Jack 5 or like King 4, off those probably better hands to raise in the small blind. I think this one just fits better in the checking range if it gets folded to us. Do we call? I mean, this guy hasn't been limping much. He's probably just limping quite good hands. I think our hand just plays badly multi-way and we're just going to fold it here. You should just bet probably 1 big blind with a decent chunk of the range. Because now here he can sort of 5 a lot of 7s and 8s potentially when he checks. So he ends up calling fast, he's quite weak. There's a pretty standard bluff spot, but he doesn't go for it. So we can see, he's just like not bluffing rivers is a pretty clear read there. Because that I think was a mandatory bluff spot with the 4-liner, but when this guy checks, because when he checks, like he just doesn't have the 8 in general in that spot, or any full house or whatever. So he basically caps himself very heavily when he checks the 4-liner on the river. But okay, they're just checking it down to probably have some slight showdown value. Maybe he had like a weak ace or something. I don't know if this guy's just pot controlling a lot of how like just some random underpair, but obviously a lot of times you could have in the double check back range out of position. But this guy just didn't really have anything most likely. So like maybe he had king high or something or queen high. Because if he had like a some sort of much weaker hand, or he might have bluffed it on the turn in Solverland. But yeah, on this freeway flop, yeah, king and a queen. Yeah, I mean it's a hand that you probably will bet some frequency, but you are going to check a lot of your pairs as well, especially multi-way. This guy kind of donks out, which feels like a lot of draws or some lucky two pair, but it does get through in the end. These guys just played face up and didn't really have anything, which will often be the case in the multi-way pots if you'll be very face up about what they have when facing multiple ranges. Yeah, just doing a quick time check there. Another like 5 or so minutes to go before we take a little bit of a break. I mean, it probably should get into cash games more to be fair, because what times happens is I kind of want to play MTTs. I'm like, oh, I don't really have much time, or there might be some interruptions. So it's kind of like a thought I had, like, let's say if my life situation changed a lot, where I had like other responsibilities as well, then cash would probably suit me better because I'd be able to like get away from all the tables quite fast when something big sort of comes up. But it is what it is. I guess we can get into the habit. Yeah, I don't think you're really raising Jack Deuce just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to my mind, especially when this guy seems. I mean, it's a bit stationary, but he also can be a little nitty. Don't think we have much of a betting range here. Like, we also have like the back door. You don't really want to be blocking the hearts. I think it just goes in the checking range. That's quite a good card for the small blind, but he's not really firing it. Whereas we'll be checking back a decent number of pairs. The question is whether we just like go for it with like a one big blind bet. But I'd rather not have the Jack of Hearts. I think with the Jack of Hearts just goes in the checking range. But this card's a kind of a good one because we'd have like a lot of Deuce 5 and this stuff. So I feel like we can kind of even just bet like Grieve on this pot and probably get King High to fold. And yeah, I think we can go for it. It does get through. I mean, that's what, yeah, you are blocking the hearts. Like, I probably should check there technically, but yeah, I just had a feeling that like he was so passive that he would just fold to like King High there, so I felt it was worth it. Yeah, this is not good enough to play, of course, being a little worst hand possible. And this is nice, like forehand, you get to play more pots, get to leverage your skill edge a bit more against the field. So it kind of feels like, I mean, it's sort of it was a best table really early on when the guy was just like jamming a really wide range, like any half decent ace X or any like pocket fair. But it's still like not a bad table per se at this point. And definitely like the session has given me more confidence, maybe I should be playing a bit more cash just so it's not like as crazy variance as the sit and goes where I just feel like I saw him getting boned half the time even when I play well. So, we'll see how it goes. But it does mean kind of studying a lot more cash, whereas I do kind of want to just like really master MTTs, just get really, really good at them, like to the point where I feel like I can hold my own against like anybody in Australia live pretty much. And then, kind of we're going more into cash games. That was kind of my plan. But, I might pivot and see how it goes. Like maybe just play a mix of both. Because the thing is, if you get really good at cash games, it also makes you a much better MTT player when it's kind of deep stacked. And yeah, this guy should have just bet the 4-free. Like that's just an automatic fire, I think, on the turn or river. But anyway, he didn't do it. And that's kind of interesting. Like, the offsuit just doesn't play well enough. I think it's just going to be a fold here. Like, if I had Jack 10 off, that might be the threshold where I call in that spot. But even then, like, Jack 10 offsuit's often going to be dominated by their hands. So I think I really want to play a lot more suited hands when I defend multi-way. And only, like, the really good offsuit hands, like probably King Jack off plus might be my defending range multi-way there. I need to check the chart, see if that's actually valid. But yeah, I think Queen 4. Are we going to ISO? Like, this guy is just limping such a wide range. I'm actually gonna ISO here. Like it's a little bit too loose, I think, but still, you do want to have some bluffs. And I feel like these suited, like high-low cards are kind of a good candidate. But this guy picked up a decent hand for sure. I can tell by the tank he picked up something. So we are behind in this spot, and we are out of position. And yeah, when he limp jams, yeah, I mean it's a kind of dumb idea, but okay, he just has sevens. It's whatever. And yeah, this guy had queens, which is kind of funny. So like we can actually make a note on this guy. Yeah, he basically like flatted queen to an ISO in the big blind. So we just know he's like very loose passive when he raises. Like when he free bets, it's basically kings plus. That's what we can very clearly conclude from this hand. But I mean that guy like just going for it with sevens is like completely ridiculous because you're only getting better hands to call and you fold out everything worse. That's why that it's such a severe mistake to try to squeeze up the limping. Um, and yeah, like even if he does like let's say just flat with the sevens, like say this guy just had a drunk hand. Oh, this is kind of interesting. Yeah, we're seeing like a free bet or something. So kings versus queen jack. Queen jack is an idiotic call, but okay, the guy's busts anyway. So let's see if he rebuys or not. Because if he rebuys, yeah, it just means just a very clear fish. Maybe I should have raised Queen 6 suited, but you want to make a note, yeah, that this guy, yeah, kind of like basically bet big and called, massive all in with, yeah, with like 2 overcards plus backdoors. So, yeah, so we know that this guy's just complete station. We just like bet huge with our value, and he's going to pay us off with pretty much anything. So that's kind of good to know. Like, guys probably had some Israeli tilted from some session. So yeah, we might be able to just like take his money when he's on tilt. That would be pretty funny. Oh, full house, that's amusing. 5-4 should just fold there free, but it's what it is. Um, yeah, so this guy is limping in again. So this guy just literally limping up, or just entering a pot 100% of hands. Huh, that's kind of funny. So I have a 4-way, multi-way, check, check. I mean, you're pretty much checking range out of position here, I think. Like, you'd probably bet with queen, king, queen, or higher, probably. Everything else worse, you probably check. This guy bets one. Like, it's not that stupid, actually, to bet one big blind of 4 people. Because you do thin the field a little bit and kind of allows you to play more aggressively on the turn. Plus, if they don't raise, it means they're kind of capped. Like, this guy's basically... I mean, on this river, yeah, you can have some flush draws when he checks. He probably isn't going to be checking flushes on the turn. So, yeah, you can just bet everything and just take it down all of the time. So, let's see how we're doing for time. Okay, we actually are around that half-hour point. So, what I'm doing is I'm just going to, yeah, just sit out. And, yeah, that'll just conclude the session from there. So, yeah, hope that you enjoyed this one. You can see we kind of picked up 25 bigs in half an hour, which is obviously, yeah, a very good win rate for, these kind of games. It's true we got very unlucky with the jacks against the nines, but then we kind of got lucky after that. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video of me playing some cash, 25 cent, 50% on Ignition. And if this session's anything to go by, yeah, maybe I should be playing more cash. But yeah, let me know if you'd like to see more content like this in the comments below, and also like the video if you really enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, all that good stuff. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.